Well, good afternoon and welcome to another episode of the Avatar Face to Face. This is part of our weekly programming that we do each week in terms of addressing the issues of art and culture, not only in Westchester County, but beyond. And we're very blessed today to have a guest on who is part of our new initiative that we have established along with Afui Culture. Well, we have come together to create a year-long celebration of the 50 years of independence for Jamaica. And through all of our different programs, we've begun to address the integration of cultures, both Caribbean and that in the U.S. We're addressing some of the concerns of the youth, concerns of those elements that make up the culture, meaning the food and the dance, the music, and really the overall attitudes in terms of how cultures function and how cultures integrate. And today, we're very fortunate to have as our guest Miss Minel Porter, who is a community activist, a professional in her own right. And thank you very much and welcome.
My
Good
pleasure.
afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
And so welcome to Avatar Face to Face.
Thank you very much.
So our program today is going to be a little conversation between you and I,
That's
with
right.
the rest of the world looking in and seeing what we're talking about.
Very well.
And as you well know, the Avatar Foundation, which I'm the chairperson of, has created a collaboration with the Afui Culture Organization. We've done that principally because our missions are very, very similar in terms of art and culture, for one, in terms of the multiculturalism and multi-ethnicity elements of it, really designed to explore those cultures, really designed to be able to bring those cultures together to create kind of a more harmonious environment, if you will. Part of what our mission is really to kind of look to understand who a person is, or to understand the culture better. We have to have an inside look at the rites, rituals, and traditions. We have to look at the people who make all of this happen, and some of that extends out of tradition and really gets us to some of the philanthropic elements of it, because the picture is huge.
Sure.
So we took those core elements and began to create a relationship that has developed into what is being presented as a year-long series of activities that will highlight and salute and celebrate the 50 years of independence for both Jamaica and for Trinidad.
Excellent.
And begin to open up the dialogue to understand the cultures in other Caribbean islands and countries. So with some of that, what we're saying is that it's important to understand not only the rites and rituals and traditions of people, but to understand the people themselves. So I'm going to kind of segue into my first question to you, is to tell us a little bit about Miss Minel Porter in terms of your background, in terms of what it is that you do professionally, what is it that you do as a community service.
Very well. I was born in Jamaica, of course, in St. Elizabeth. I am one of 9 daughters from my father. I comfortably say I come from a family of professionals, mostly in the area of education. And I migrated to this country in 1968. I was very young then, but I won't tell you how old I was. And in the interim, studied business at Baruch College.
Mm-hmm.
I have a degree in business administration and a minor in finance. And I've been working for the last several years, at least maybe more than 30 years in the finance industry, first for Morgan Stanley, and now I'm currently working for Lazard Asset Management.
I see.
During that time, and I don't work as a professional, I don't trade. When I say professional, I mean I do not trade. I do administration, something I love to do.
Okay.
And during that time, in about 12 years ago, one of my friends went back to Jamaica to visit
Mm-hmm.
and had the feeling he wanted to see what our school, our alma mater, was up to. Well, his discovery was pretty not very good. We saw, he brought back pictures
Mm-hmm.
that painted to us something that said, you have to help right now. So I formed the Giddy Hall. I helped to form the Giddy Hall School Alumni Association.
And it's called what?
Giddy Hall.
Giddy Hall.
Giddyyhall.
Yes.
And it's we got together a group of past students, and we found out, through the help of other people, that in order to raise funds to help the children, in essence, what was happening is the structure of the building was poor.
Mm-hmm.
Teaching and facilities were, very dilapidated.
Substandard.
So I recall when I was going to school, I know now that I had it made. At 11:30 every day, we would take a break for a little milk and a sliver of cheese. We had a home economics center. We had a woodcraft shop where the boys learned. No boy left school without knowing how to do something, to make a chair or something so they could make a living.
Okay.
All that went down the drain because, of course, it was a government school.
Mm-hmm.
Government doesn't have money to support them, so we figured we had to do something. The first fundraiser we had, in essence, we called up the principal at the time. We said, what are your needs? And when he sent his list of needs, we were overwhelmed. We did not know. We were sure it's something we couldn't accomplish. Then I decided, take them one at a time. So we first started by painting the structure,
Mm-hmm.
letting it,
Okay.
at least let it look like someplace we want to do. We spent a day cleaning up the grounds. We planted plants at the hedge. And then from there we took it one at a time. During that process, the last thing we did was build a computer lab, and furnished it with 25 computers,
Oh,
something that children in that area would never get a chance to do had it not been for us.
Mm-hmm.
As times change and, crime takes on everywhere, Jamaica is no different.
Mm-hmm.
Have people breaking into schools, taking equipment. It was necessary to put doors where doors were not. So whereas they built this school before with a lot of ventilation,
Right.
that was cut off by having to install doors and things. So
From a security point of view.
security point of
I
view,
see.
exactly.
Mhm.
So we ended up we put ceiling fans in every classroom to give the first time I went down there to visit and realized how awfully hot the rooms were. That was our next project. We came back. So we've done a lot. I have done a lot. We built a new kitchen. One of the things that used to bother me when I went down there was to see the children, the way they got their drinking water was like below, almost like inhuman way to stand on line one by one. And, so we installed a system where there was a 5-server tap system
I see.
where 5 children could get their water at a time. Just an awful lot. We were blessed to have a great school grounds.
Okay.
Nice acreage. It was donation, I think, from the church. So we got them like a lawnmower. And so now when you go there, it's a very welcoming place right now.
Okay.
We built a new kitchen. Actually, we didn't build a new kitchen. We renovated it so that they had storage facilities that were safe from, any break-ins. We put in a tuck shop, which they never had
Okay,
before, makes the
okay.
children very happy. And the best thing I think we did was to institute a scholarship fund, because what we have in St. Elias in that school is a lot of children with potential. They have the potential, but there is no resource to get them to higher
That's it, right.
education.
Well, okay.
Now, I have to tell you something else about St. Elizabeth. It's a small community, no, what do you call it? No, what's the word I'm looking for? No industry.
No,
What
okay.
you have are people
It's
who do
agricultural.
farming on a low scale for
I see.
self use. So what do you have? You have a lot of children who have the talent and the ability and the need to go for higher education, but they don't. So we are helping. Now, initially, I started giving children 1,000. I would select 7 children who did extremely well on the GSAT test, but whose parents, I would choose the ones whose parents didn't have the money and help them get to school. Now, over the last year or two, the government changed the situation whereas former children used to have to pay to go to high school. Currently, they don't pay high school. Am I right? They do not pay high school fees anymore. But there is still lodging. There is still, books and transportation and so forth. So we cut it down from $1,000, and now I'll give like $300 per child to help with transportation.
Now let's take a look at this school for a moment.
Yes.
Because I want to go back to, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
Sorry.
I want to go back to that point to kind of give an idea of about the school itself. What grade levels?
Oh,
were
it's from
involved?
grade 1 to 9.
From grade 1 to 9.
Yes.
I see. Okay.
And I'll tell you something about the school. In years gone by, my older sister's time, they used to refer to the school as Giddy Hall College simply because there were so many students from there who excelled, who, whether in Jamaica or abroad. There was one young man who happens to be related to me. My sister told me when he took the local exams, his score was so high, it impressed the country. They had his face all over the Gleaner. This was
Is that
before my
right?
time,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
But, for example, I'll take an example. My sister, Tharell Samando, she's a professor at Howard University, professor of English.
Okay.
You have many people who had their basic education there, and I don't think there's anything more important in the world than basic education. I think it's like a building. If the foundation is sound,
Yes.
it will withstand.
Listen, on that point, let's kind of explore for a moment the different cultural differences. When you're coming in, you're raised in a certain kind of environment, a
Excuse
certain
me.
culture, and then like you say, you come to this country, you get educated in this country, and you go on and do great things not only in this country but at home. What does that look like? How is the transition? Well, I guess I'm looking for the answer of the pro and cons of a transition.
Well, I'll tell you, I do not know what any other foreigner in this country can say about the country and its impact on their culture. I see coming to America as the most wonderful thing that could ever happen to me, because I had values, very good values instilled in me. And what I did was build on those values. One of the things I like about coming here is that the opportunities for education exist. Whereas in Jamaica, after you pass a certain age, for example, in a government school, if you did not get a chance to move on to high school, which in my estimation is equivalent to about a 2-year college education level,
Okay, all right.
if you don't get a chance to go there, what do? There are not that many job opportunities in terms of different areas of work. You have people gravitating towards nursing or teaching, and maybe some of them going to the police department, which right now, if I had a son, I wouldn't want him in it. But that's not much.
I see, yeah.
So here, for example, when I got a chance to go to college, I was exposed to classical music, tennis, these things. So I value that more than anything else.
Okay.
And I think by coming here, I became a much more well-rounded individual because I can appreciate so much more. It's not so much that if I hadn't come, I wouldn't appreciate it. It's that we tend to appreciate what we know, or or appreciate
right.
from what
That's
we
right.
know. Right? So I think it's a wonderful thing.
Okay. Well, looking at what you've shared with us in terms of the school and some of the activities that went on in that school and the progress that you've made.
Yes.
Are there other kinds of organizations you're involved with? I wanted to ask the question maybe before we moved on, was the work that was done in restoration.
Yes.
Was that sweat equity? Was that people from the community doing that? Or was this something that you were able to generate funds and have then maybe some professional people do it? Or
If I'm going to be honest with you, getting community people to volunteer to do things for free it doesn't happen very often. So we fundraise, and I am very, very tough when it comes to what we get, what we raise, what we get in.
All right.
I will not allow anyone to waste it or to spend it
That's very
weekly.
good.
So what we do is whatever project we have, we look for the sources to get the equipment. And in the initial instance, we did all the work ourselves. We literally went there, donned our old clothes, and painted the building. And by us, I mean the past students. We have a membership of about, the head count is about 100. But of course, once you get started, it dwindles because
Right,
people
right,
don't
as-
really,
as
unless
always.
your heart is in it,
Right.
you can't. It doesn't follow through.
Well, one of the things that we saw on our end, meaning the Avatar side, is that it's important. Education, not only is it important, but to position people in a certain way
Yes.
that provides them with a means to make a living. We in turn have a careers behind the scenes program,
Wonderful.
and as a producer of special events and concerts, I'm very much aware of all of the jobs in the background that really make that upfront entity look good. So we say to kids, if you like music, you may not be that rapper, but you could be a sound engineer. You
Sure.
could be a lighting engineer, a set designer, and it goes on and on and on. So we want to be able to say to young people, here's a vast opportunity. You may not get exactly what you want at this point, but you have to have some kinds of skills.
Sure.
You have to be able to do some form of work. And you can always kind of build on that.
Sure.
And can take you into all kinds of directions. So there's always that starting point. So what you're saying is very significant.
Yeah, that is very poignant because I recall a cousin of mine who started woodcrafting at my school, at Giddy Hall School, came to this country and became a master creator of fine furniture, for
All right.
offices and homes. And I don't think he could have had a better career because he was just so good at it. Something I don't think he would have done had he not had this start at Giddy Hall.
Right, got
The
it.
other thing is there was no girl that left Giddy Hall without knowing how to cook something. I think is very important for everybody because we had the home ec center,
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a wonderful thing. And now, as you move among the community, are there other kinds of services that you have provided or you coordinate that helps people either in this transitional period or, in fact, just provide a service too?
Well, let me put it this way. Giddy Hall alumni, the community from Jamaica found out a long time ago that without assistance from Jamaicans living abroad, Jamaica, would have difficulties. I think it's not something they knew ahead of time. They just found it out as time progressed.
I
So
see.
there is a hub of the alumni associations called UJA, Union of Jamaican Alumni Associations. And Giddy Hall is a member of that. We are a spoke
I
on that
see.
hub.
Okay.
So together, UJA gets its funds from the spokes. For example, we have a fundraiser with them. They get a certain portion of that, whatever
I
and then they use that to do for schools that don't have a representative overseas.
I see. Okay.
So
Okay.
there is a lot going on, and it's not just school. For example, my association, Giddy Hall, we provide books and in-class equipment every year to the children. We at one school, UJA provided uniforms. Every single year I go to Jamaica. Whether it's in November, we started now doing it in December, where the children who would ordinarily not have something because we give each one of them a gift bag. And we started with just in-class tools and equipment. Then we started adding little personal items, toothbrush, toothpaste, bath soap or something. And you have no idea. You would have to see us in the process of handing out this stuff, how absolutely happy they are. The other thing we do is we feed them for a day.
I see.
Buy them
Okay.
hot lunch and give teachers. Another thing I just started doing was to get clothing. Children still need clothing.
Okay, right,
So
right.
we get donations. Whoever gives us something, we just take it there and make sure they get something. So I think it goes farther. And I find more and more that the things Giddy Hall does keep getting copied by other alumni associations. So I
okay.
think it's a positive thing.
That's the best form of flattery.
I
huh?
think so, too.
Okay.
Yes.
That's a wonderful thing. Well, I think that energy is very important because it's something that we have to share, and be able to speak about it. And that's been kind of our agenda as we do these series of programs leading up to the celebration of what is known as independence. And you've just described independence.
Absolutely.
You see what I mean? To provide an education, provide other opportunities that
Yes.
people can advance themselves.
Exactly.
And go on and do some wonderful things and make contributions to the world.
Yes.
So it's really this element that's very important, because what it is that we're trying to do, or not trying, we are doing it, is to present this cultural vision, through Caribbean art and culture.
Mm.
And so we're using that, as our guide, and doing it through the vision of Carnival. So it's very festive, it's alive, it's entertaining, it's educational, and it just covers a wide girth of social issues. And the key part of it is that, carnivals worldwide are really about the people.
Absolutely.
See, and that's really where we're going. It's about the people of the country, the people of the culture, who begin to galvanize themselves and begin to express their culture through this carnival. And that's what we want to be able to bring in our interpretation of Carib Gold. And although it's a celebration of two countries in 50 years, which is a serious hallmark, it's really about a much broader sense of people in the culture and multi-ethnicities that make up the culture. So it's really a fabulous thing that you're doing with these youngsters and providing a serious commitment, which you don't see often. People speak about it, but that's why we wanted to invite you to the show, people who do it.
I was about to say to you, altruism is not up here. It's in here. And we find even with our group that there's a gentleman, Anton Tomlinson, who was a key player in the UJA organization. When we formed our organization and he came to give us, like little hints as what the do's and don'ts, said to me, in the long run there will be only a few of you, not many. And I said, you must be joking. And he was so right. But the few who are left are very determined to carry it on.
That's a wonderful thing. Well, I want to thank you for sharing that with me and sharing it with our audience.
My pleasure.
And it really helps us in terms of defining and interpreting who makes up the culture, what it's all made about. A big student is staring it around. But I wanted to, is there any information that you can provide for persons who may be interested in what you do and how they can help?
Oh, absolutely. Right today, I think about it, we will take help from any source. In the past, my employers, and by any source I just meant anybody who wants to donate some money. If you have clothing, if you have books for a library, if you want to join our group, we are willing to have people come in and help us. For example,
is there a website or a telephone number?
Unfortunately, we started a website, but because of economic reasons, we had to abandon it, because I always believe that it is more important to help the kids than to have some attention on us.
So,
but we are
given this short period of time, what we want to do, though, because we're running out of time, is people who are interested in your initiative, what you're doing, can really contact the Afui Culture.
Absolutely.
At yahoo.com.
Very well,
And we can always communicate that information back to you or get information to those who are inquiring.
Excellent idea. Thank you.
But I wanted to wrap this up in this segment, not only, again, thanking you for taking time and going through all of the effort to get here, and we certainly appreciate that. But I wanted to speak to our audience in regards to information that you've heard today can be found on the avatarfoundation.org, on our website. And our telephone number is 914-664-7970. And it's Avatar, AVITAR, foundation.org. And as we begin to wrap up our show and close our show, we again thank Ms. Porter for coming to to our rescue, if you will, and sharing the wonderful philanthropic activities that she's involved with and how to help people. And we want to close with our saying, as we say each week, is that the dream is in the mind of the believer and in the hands of the doer. And you're not given that dream without giving the means to make it happen. So with that, we say good afternoon, stay well, peace, and we'll see you next week.